Briana Aldridge joined with Patrik Walker from Cowboys.com to talk about what is going on with this Cowboys team. And unlike last week, there's some positivity coming from this injury list, starting with Donovan Bland, actually possibly rumored to be available this week.
Depending upon whom you ask, Donovan Bland will or will not or maybe won't play against the Detroit Lions. The good news is that the Cowboys have activated his 21-day practice window effective today. And what that does mean is that the Cowboys have until October 30th to either add him to the 53-man roster or he's going to revert to season-ending IR. But it seems a foregone conclusion that he'll be on the field sooner than later. Will that be against the Lions or will that be after the bye against the 49ers? We don't know quite yet. But for all of the snake-bitten ways that have happened to the Cowboys, particularly on defense, this is some positive news there.
Yeah, and like you said, this could be something we see trending more towards coming back from the bye week against the Niners. But to think of Diggs, Carson, and Bland all possibly being available, like what does that do for this secondary?
That should give chills to the secondary in a great way, because this will be the first time that Trayvon Diggs and Donovan Bland as full-time starters are on the field at the same time with Jourdan Lewis. You've now seen how Jourdan Lewis is playing at a high level now, so many months removed from that devastating foot injury he suffered against, guess who, the Detroit Lions, in one of his interceptions against Jared Goff. So having that trio, which could arguably be labeled the best trio of cornerbacks in the NFL, that's going to be huge against a Lions offense that takes no prisoners in the air.
So we talked about the positivity. Now we have to go away from that just for a second. Just for a second. 4 plays into the game against the Steelers, Maron Nean was questionable, then ruled out, and now he's going into IR. That was already a backup on top of what was happening. So what does that do up front?
Key word here, devastation. Let's use that. You lose Micah Parsons with a high ankle sprain for last week's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Doesn't look like he'll be able to go against the Lions. We'll see, but he's not practicing today, being Wednesday. Marcus Lawrence, he's on injured reserve. Maron Nean, he goes down with a knee injury. He has that knee scoped on yesterday, which was Tuesday. Likely going to IR, probably corresponding with Carl Lawson being added to the active roster. But there is a name that's going to have to step up again. Carl Lawson alongside Chauncey Golston and a guy like Tyrus Wheat. Those 3 guys stepped up in a huge fashion against the Pittsburgh Steelers in both run defense and effectively rushing the passer in Justin Fields. They're going to need a big day from those 3 guys as well.
That seems like the theme of this team this season is having other guys step up because of the injuries, and offensively someone did step up on the Steelers. Jaylen Tolbert, the king of the north, what was yelled into the locker room. How big is it for Tolbert to build on what McCarthy's talking about, confidence, that what he's been trying to build, it showed up? Do you think this is sustainable?
And going back to the good news, okay, we're back on good vibes now. Jaylen Tolbert, he's been working toward that particular moment, that moment being the go-ahead touchdown, having a career game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, being that guy that stepped up in the absence of Brandon Cooks. Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they talked a lot about who would be the young guy that stepped up. Would it be Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, maybe Ryan Flanoy, who made his debut but didn't get a lot of burn because Jaylen Tolbert was having such a big day. I do believe that the former South Alabama star can continue to build on this confidence, and I believe he can replicate it. It's going to be challenging against the Detroit Lions, but I think he's got the moxie to do it.
And since we're speaking of offense, Rico Gathers, all right, looks like everyone's convinced this is their running back one. What does that mean for when you're looking at it, looking ahead for Zeke, and again for the rumored Dalvin Cook that's been trending? You know, we like him, but we're just keeping him in our back pocket, I guess you could say. What does that running back look like? Does Rico just continue to trend up and Zeke fade out?
Well, you know, it's always been a running back by committee as far as from the beginning of the season to this point. And I think that what you're seeing is basically what I predicted, in that each week you're going to see possibly one of the running backs get more shine than the other. Kudos to Rico Gathers. He's taken his opportunities and he's really, no pun intended, he's running with them. But that doesn't rule out Ezekiel Elliott. It's a long season. I think as the season wears on, you'll start to see more of Ezekiel Elliott get mixed in. Maybe we see Dalvin Cook on the back half of the season. But as it stands, Rico Gathers, he's doing work. And don't forget about Hunter Lipke.
So looking ahead really quick, I don't want to get too into the Detroit Lions, but from what you've seen this team do against the Giants, against the Steelers, do you think that is a possibility they got enough to get through this Detroit Lions team that is looking pretty for real on both sides of the ball right now?
So you're saying there's a chance. There's always a chance when you step onto the field on an NFL game. You never know what's going to happen. The ball bounces one way or bounces another way. This is going to be a game that goes down to the wire. Anyone who has watched these games between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys can attest that there's always some type of controversy, and it always goes down to the last couple of plays. I think this is another game of that. that nature. But the Cowboys, as desperately as the Lions want revenge for the ineligible receiver game last year, the Cowboys absolutely have to win a game at AT&T Stadium to break that losing streak. So I think that they're going to come out with their hair on fire.
Yeah, agreed. Going into the bye week with no wins at home compared to what they were known for coming into the season
Not great, Bob.
would be not great. Say it again for the people.
Not great, Bob.
That's going to be it for now. For Patrik Walker, for Briana Aldridge.